Welcome to the Jeremiah Show. Really, really excited about this episode. This is our first episode featuring music venues around the world. And not only music venues, but iconic music venues. And we couldn't have started with a better first episode. We're going to begin the series with the greatest club in the world, the Cavern Club in Liverpool. The Cavern Club story has it all: success, failure, fame, closures, rebirth. I want to borrow from the Cavern Club documentary a little description about the documentary. The documentary is called The Cavern Club. The beat goes on, and it goes like this. This is the story of a club whose fortunes have ebbed and flowed in tandem with that of the city of Liverpool itself. A club that has embraced ever-changing music scene, the highs, the lows, the dramas, the battles, the heartache, but above all, the music. Impressively, after 7 eventful decades, it survives and continues to thrive as a relevant contemporary live music venue, as well as a major tourist destination. It's a place of pilgrimage for Beatles fans and music fans. The Cavern Club was founded in 1957 by young jazz aficionado Alan Sidner, who sought to recreate the headlines of his beloved jazz clubs in Paris. The Cavern Club, of course, is famous for being the venue that hosted the Beatles 292 times. The club survived 2 closures, and it was tragically demolished, only to be built again, brick by brick. And after, again, many highs and lows, the club is back to its former glory. It hosts artists like Adele, Jessie J and the Arctic Monkeys. So take this magical mystery tour with me through the fascinating history of the Cavern Club, from the beginning to current day, with my special guest, JON KEATS, Director of Music and Events. Welcome, John.
Hello, Jeremiah. What a lovely introduction you gave us there. That's I remember writing that bit for the documentary.
I was going to say the compliment goes back to you because I stole it.
Yeah, no, but it's true, isn't it? It's true exactly what you said there. I mean, you're not going to be a venue or any business that's been going for that long to not to have gone through the highs and the lows. But with the Cavern, it is always got to be about the music, and it is, and that's that's what makes the Cavern the iconic music venue that it is.
It's hosted everybody you could think of, pretty much, as musicians, and of course, being really famous for the Beatles. But isn't it interesting? I was thinking as I was, looking at the history of the club, and I thought this club has had all opportunities of success. I mean, you've got some of the best musicians in the world have played there, and it's still tough, isn't it? The business of running a club for that many years. It's still hard work every day, and I'm sure you can attest to that.
Yeah, of course it is. I mean, our company is called Cavern City Tours, right? So that's the name of the company, and we own and operate the Cavern Club, which everybody knows the Cavern Club. We also have a Cavern Pub right opposite, so that's another live music venue that we run. We have a Cavern Restaurant directly opposite the Cavern. Plus, the company runs the big Beatles Magical Mystery Tour, the official Beatles tour of Liverpool, where we have the replica Magical Mystery Tours. We run a big Beatles festival every year. We employ probably about 130 staff, and that's before we get onto the musicians. So in terms of running the business, it's like anything. Any business has challenges. So we're no different in that. But we've had the Cavern since 1991. So we've had the Cavern a long, long time, and we inherited it. It's not always been this shiny, it's today, as it said in your intro from the documentary that we did. It is it's a thriving tourist destination, but it's a thriving live music venue. But that hasn't always been the case. It's gone through all the struggles. When the Cavern reopened in 1984, we've just celebrated 40 years since the Cavern reopened. And when it reopened on the same address, I have to say, that the Cavern had always been, it was pretty much a failure. So for like 6-7 years, it struggled. And when we took over it in the early 90s, uh, the irony is, for a live music venue, the most popular nights were student nights where there was DJs. And every time we were putting live music on, because we knew what we wanted to do. But the city, in the 80s, Liverpool was a rough, tough, hard place. It was struggling. So every time we put live music on in the early days, the early 90s, we'd lose money. So it took a long time to re-educate the customer, the fan base, and to get, what we see today is I would say the heyday of the Cavern. People talk, about the heyday being the Beatles, and of course it was, and that put it on the map. But it's hard work, but it's not a bad gig to have, is it? Running the
No.
Cavern. It's not a bad. It's not torture.
Not a bad way to live a life. And did you guys find as you developed the business that you needed to bring in these extra, I mean, they held these extra revenue streams, like the Magical Mystery Tour, the the documentary, the live albums there and things like that. Did you
It's
the
the
restaurant?
irony is our company, Cavern City Tours, started in the 80s as a tour operator, bringing Beatle fans to the city. This is before we had the Cavern. So we actually started as a tour operating company, and we got hold of the Magical Mystery Tour business. So we were running Beatles tours in the 80s before we had the Cavern. We'd have one bus. Originally, the guides were actually operating the tour on the original bus from the film as well. That's how far we go back. So the Cavern Club came to the company a few years later, but when we got the Cavern Club, I mean, I wasn't with the company in 1991 when we got the Cavern. I knew the guys, and I'd worked in tandem with them because I was a musician, and I played the Cavern, and I'd done our Beatles festival, and so I was very much aware of what was going on, but I was getting on with my own career. I was an actor at the time as well, so that was my main thing. But we came into the story, and getting the Cavern was the missing piece in order for us to build real Beatles tourism. Really, we along with a couple of other organisations in the 80s, we were pioneers of we knew that Liverpool could be a tourist destination around the Beatles, but not in a Disney way, because you come to Liverpool now, it would be so easy for it to be, Disneyfied with the Beatles everywhere. The Beatles are prominent, but there's
Like
so much
Times
more.
Square, right?
Yeah. We do try to get that balance right. But no, we do the Cavern pub. Weirdly, you're in the Cavern now. Nowadays we're open 7 days a week. We open the doors 11 o'clock. The live music starts 11:15 a.m. and it's non-stop all day. It's busy all day. Going back even to the early 2000s, Liverpool was European capital of culture in 2008, and it was a huge turning point for the Cavern and the city, really, because there was a lot of investment, a lot of focus on the new Liverpool and new buildings and new restaurants and shops, the whole infrastructure. There was funding attached to that, and that enabled us to build what we wanted to do. But even till 2009, we didn't open the Cavern Club on an evening during the week, Monday to Wednesday, because there wasn't the business. So we actually opened the Cavern Pub over the road, almost as a smaller model, to which it's still Cavern memorabilia and live music, but it was to try and attract the locals in, because we knew, to open the Cavern Club, which is a big building, there's 2 stages. It was cheaper almost to have this cozy Cavern Pub. So that was opened out of necessity, and that's now it's a thriving pub, rock and roll pub in the city, and all these other things like the restaurant. We added to the brand, and over the years we've just added so many things to the brand. We've got like caverns on cruise ships now, which might sound a bit Disney, but I can assure you we work with it's with NCL Cruise Line, and we work with them very well. And so the brand over the years, and since in our ownership, we've managed to turn the brand round, and it is the Cavern is a worldwide recognized brand, as well as let's not forget the mothership right here in Liverpool. So it keeps us busy, and it's always a challenge, but it's going well.
That sounds like you got a little bit going on there. I'm just
Yeah,
curious, how big is, you referenced the Cavern Club as a big building. How many square feet is the Cavern Club?
I should be able to tell you that.
Or I mean, is it like how many seats are in there?
Well,
If there are
the
seats.
the Cavern Club itself, there's 2 rooms, 2 stages. So the Beetle stage, if you like, the famous arch stage, that probably holds about 200 people. But then there's the second venue. Sorry, I'm just getting back on there. The second venue, which is the Cavern Live Lounge, holds about 300. So I couldn't give you square meter as
Oh,
footage, but
that gives me a good idea. That's big. Well,
yeah,
I'm going to go back to referencing what you referenced earlier, that you're a musician, John, and you played the club back in 1987 with a cast of The Need for Heroes, which was a musical about Mersey Beat legends Rory
yeah.
Storm and the Hurricanes, which was Ringo Starr's first band. And you still play at the venue, right? You're still one of the artists
I'm one
that.
of yeah. I'm one of the resident artists, which I came back to the Cavern. Like I joined the Cavern properly at 16 years ago, in 2008 when we were Capital Culture. Um, I joined the Cavern then, and as well as being in the office and looking after the music and events, I started as a resident artist. So I don't quite. I do 4 gigs a week, which I might start after having to slow down because I'm not getting any younger. But yeah,
That's a lot of
I
gigs.
literally, I know. I literally, I'll finish the office. We're 9 to 5 in the office, and we're around the corner from the Cavern, just around the corner. And I'll be on stage Monday to Thursday, usually quarter past 5. I'm on stage banging out all these, not just Beatles, but lots of all the bands that have played the Cavern. So yeah, I think that's
Yeah, you play the
important.
Kinks, the Rolling Stones,
Yeah,
Oasis, just
absolutely.
the Who, yeah,
Yeah,
like people that have played there.
yeah,
Yeah, we scheduled this interview around you have to be on stage, is what you told me a few weeks back.
yeah,
Um, so for
yeah,
me, I'm interviewing John at 7:30 in the morning here in California. It's what, 3:30, 4 o'clock your time out there?
yeah. We're getting on to
Yeah.
4, so I'm all right. I'm all right for a bit.
Well,
But
listen,
no,
I want to point. Go
oh,
ahead.
sorry. No,
I
it's
just
okay.
wanted to I wanted to point out that you're a singer songwriter and a performer and music artist most of your life, and you've just released a new album. I wanted the listeners to pay attention to and go check out. It's the title is Any Man Would Do the Same, and it's on Cavern Records. You can find it. I found it everywhere, but you can find it. You can go through the website at the Cavern, which is Cavern.
Cavernclub.com.
Cavernclub.com. Thank you.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Liverpool just to get a full, for people that haven't been there like me. In fact, I was going to go out a couple of years ago for the Beatles Festival. The Tearaways play there quite a bit, right? There's a friend of mine,
Yeah.
and yeah, Finn and all them invited me out, and I didn't make it, so I have to get out there. It's it's on my checklist of things to do. But I've never been to Liverpool, um, and I thought maybe John, you could, since you grew up there, right, your whole life, your entire life, you've
Yeah,
lived
yeah,
in
yeah.
Liverpool. Can you describe John Keats Liverpool?
Well, the irony is, and this is quite funny. I'm officially not really from Liverpool, which is ridiculous. I was born in a place called Crosby, and I still live where I was born, which I never thought I would do. But after traveling earlier in my career, but it's about 7 miles out of Liverpool city, but it's actually in the borough of Sefton. So there are certain people in Liverpool go, oh no, if you were born in Sefton, you're not from Liverpool. It's ridiculous. So yeah, I was born and raised in Liverpool. Um, what I'd say, it's a very it's quite a village really, and certainly in terms of music. So I've been involved in music and drama in Liverpool since I think I played my first gig when I was 16. Um, in Liverpool, and it's quite a small village, especially if you're in the arts. But even if you come to Liverpool as a tourist, as a visitor, there's the two main things that people come to Liverpool for really. It's football and music, and there's two Premiership football teams, Liverpool and Everton. I support Everton, which is always a struggle.
Oh, I was gonna
But if
say
you
that's
Yeah, it's a lifetime struggle, but I'd rather be the underdog. It's more fun.
more
But
fun that way.
people, yeah, but it's always they did a survey in the 80s about what when Liverpool was mentioned to people, what do they think of? And the two things were Liverpool Football Club and the Beatles. So of course they're the things the pull that will get people to Liverpool. But you get here, and it's a beautiful city. It's a lovely mix of old and new in terms of architecture, and think people are surprised at how nice Liverpool is. I live right by the beach, for example. There's like probably a 8 mile stretch of beach, which is on the River Mersey. The famous Jerry Marsden ferry across the Mersey, the estuary that takes you out to the Atlantic. There's a whole stretch of beach which is beautiful. People are surprised. People are often surprised that there's sunshine in Liverpool, and occasionally we do get a bit of sunshine. Um, but there's lots to discover, and it's a great city to get around. It's big enough to have, we've got two cathedrals, one of which is the second biggest cathedral in Europe. There's the architecture, there's the galleries, there's the shopping, there's everything, and but it's easy to get round, and there's always something happening. There's always, if you're into theatre, there's so much theatre going on. Liverpool's a very artistic city. Um,
How about
you know,
Matthew Street, where the Cavern Club is located? What is that? Is that, if I remember right, there's a lot of artists in that area, isn't there? Is that
oh,
like an artist community, or what's that?
no,
What's the
no,
location
it's
like
it's
there?
no, it's very much in music. It's a bit like Broadway, Nashville, and
Okay.
Beale Street. I'd say Matthew Street, Beale Street, Broadway. They are three streets or three roads that properly celebrate their musical history. So you'll come into the Cavern now, and obviously the main pull is the Cavern Club, and then we've got our venue. But there's probably in Matthew Street and the adjoining streets, there's probably about 20, 25 bars, and every night of the week and every day of the week there is live music ringing out. So
Mm,
which is great, because not only is it great for people coming in and listening to the music, because it's not just about the Cavern. There's so much more, and it's
yeah.
not just about the Beatles, but it also there's so much work for musicians in Liverpool again, and I think these things come in waves. When I was younger, there was a lot of live music in the bars, and that sort of maybe changed for a period, but it's come back now, but Matthew Street's a very vibrant area. And there's so much Beatles history in this area.
All right, I'm talking with Jon Keats. He's the director of music and events at the most famous club in the world. That is the Cavern Club. This is my first in the series. We're going to explore iconic music venues, and we started with the best, the Cavern Club in Liverpool. Cavern Club has been described as the cradle of British pop music. I also wanted to mention that Jon, who has 4 gigs, who runs Magical Mystery Tour, who books music at the club, he's also got a podcast, and it's really great. It's called the Cavern Podcast. Jon Keats opens up Cavern conversations each week with special guests, everyone from Hollywood A-listers to music and Liverpool legends. New episodes are available on Wednesday. Today, there's a new one. I saw it. I have to listen to it later. If you'd like to get in touch with Jon, he'd love to hear your thoughts, your questions, or your ideas about who you'd like to hear on his future podcast episodes. You can find him on Instagram and X at Cavern Liverpool, and go to cavernclub.com. There's a lot of great stuff there. While we're taking this quick break, we'll be right back. Jon actually sent me all of the music that we're going to hear today. These are these are artists that have played at the club. Am I correct?
Yeah. I just thought I'd start. It's obviously there's the Beatles are in there, but it's a small selection of the many
Yeah.
artists that have gone on to worldwide fame that have gone through our doors.
Well, we came in with the big three, what I'd say, live at the Cavern in 1963. Right now, we're going to take you to break with the Beatles. I saw her standing there. And stay tuned for the end of the show. We're going to premiere a new single here by Jon Keats. Jon, what are we going to be hearing?
I think you're going to be playing the title track of the album, which is "Any Man Would Do the Same."
Yes,
Which
can't
is
wait.
thank
All
you.
right, we'll be back with more from Jon Keats, director of the music at the Cavern Club. We'll be right back.